Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtrothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is June 30th, YC125. And oh my gosh, it's the Eve Universe show! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, we are here. It has been a while. It's been too long. It's been like 2 weeks. My son's summer break always catches me off guard. Today has actually been my first day without him here. He was finally able to go stay the night at his mom's house. So that's why I'm able to be here today. I've been wanting to do like editing or some other things and videos. I've had a lot of stuff kicking around in my head, but obviously nothing has come to fruition yet. I have done a lot of stuff in-game and playing other games and stuff, but I am so glad to be here. We have quite a bit to cover. I honestly have no idea how long the stream's going to be today. Possibly longer than normal, maybe cut short. Who knows? We'll have to find out together. But one thing I do want to cover, the big topic for the day, is going to be building your own ships, especially if you work for the Navy, right? So building, if you join faction warfare, making your own ships so that way you can go out and fight with them. So that's going to be the main topic of the day. But first, I want to go over some of the news and catch up and all that sort of stuff. And say hi to everybody. The last time your stream, the TTT stood still? Still stood. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So the TT2 is done. That's fun. This is the one time you would think you would want some sort of maker's mark. Yeah. You know, I do appreciate the fact that Abyssals at least give you the name of the person who rolled the Abyssal. There's a little bit of an ownership thing there. But yes, I agree. I think that not even necessarily customization, but just seeing like it'd be cool if you could look at any given item. Now, obviously, here's the problem. This is where like things like non-fungible tokens or whatever go in, because like when things are not built, then they have, or like when things are not assembled, they have no history. They're just a quantity of that object, regardless of who builds it. So it's only when it's assembled does it become like a real independent thing. So it'd be hard to like store in the data who actually built the thing. It would be who unpackaged it, which is really what it does by saying your name's ship by default in the naming. But one thing I have been thinking about doing is for my own ships, the ship packages that I make, like if I build, I've been thinking about building like fits for things like missions, Abyss, etc. But like as a way, my own personal maker's mark is putting a Master Arm Cerebral Accelerator in the cargo of each one. Right, that's my little bow on the top. Thanks to all of you guys using the buddy link that you can find down below. It doesn't just send it to me; it sends it to one of our staff members randomly. But yeah, that's my plan. So, Mike, Tommy, Marcus, LM1, all good to see. I did want to cover a little bit about the war zone. I've been doing a lot more with faction warfare now that the Shadow War has ended. I can say that, oh, darn it. Hold on. I didn't have this ready. Of course I didn't have it ready. One thing I wanted. Hold on. Let's not knock over the coffee. Log in. Okay, if I go to COE Tools, Airboard, since he's here, I want to call him out. Quantum Light, who's a member of the channel, hi, and here, has been absolutely destroying it. 252 plexes captured this month, 228 plexes captured last month. I mean, sometimes you see some things and you need to call it out and say, holy shit, good job, dude. So, holy shit, good job, dude. As you can see, I'm working my way back up the ranks, but I have a long ways to go. This is only like 5 or 6 days. But Quantum Light out there killing it for the convocation and for Aderon. I really appreciate it. Sorry for putting the target on your head. But the result of all of this is the fact that the Gallente are doing significantly better than when we last left our intrepid heroes. So the big critical ones, excuse me. I get water? No. All right, well, I'm gonna have to do that eventually. The big critical ones is, so Hadley's and Fleet are one of the big guard, southern fortresses, right? Fleet is the headquarters of Aderon. Hadley's is the headquarters of Hongry and the location of like a lot of the infrastructure and stuff like that. This is a really important little cluster of systems. We do like it when this whole area is rearguard. That's better. However, as we were trying to push into different areas, the squids managed to take Integral, which allowed them to kind of knock down these two as well, and they're kind of eating through it. However, the big issue with this is actually that Integral, first of all, has no stations in it, which makes it very difficult to stage in. And you can see that they want it back. It's only been taken for like 2 or 3 days, and it's already 30% contested. So that's something to keep an eye on. Because when Integral is taken by the squids, Hadley's becomes a front line. When Hadley's is... yeah, I'm busy defending Gallente space. That's exactly right. So Hadley's... when Hadley's is a front line, that allows the opponents to dock there, which makes their push to Hadley's significantly more dangerous. They actually pushed it all the way down to Hadley's, made it into a front line. However, we've now managed to retake Integral and a boon. And and then, of course, Devon pushes Fleet into a front line. So by taking Integral, which we did last week, we were able to make Hadley's back into a rear guard, or sorry, command operations center, and therefore make it much more difficult for the enemies to plex there. However, it has pushed that front line back to Integral. As you can see, they're still contesting it, and to Marathon, which they have focused very strongly on keeping up their advantage. That advantage, which I do want to make like a whole video on advantage at some point soon, that advantage of 78% greatly increases the amount of effort, or the value of the effort that they put in versus the effort that we put in. So while the system is highly contested, it is very challenging to get it further contested because of the high advantage, and it's easy for them to try to pull it down. So this is a problem. We need to deal with this advantage if we want to be able to take back this system. And likewise, they're starting to build up their advantage in Integral, which is even more devastating, because if they can take Integral, then Hadley's goes back to being a front line. So what we really need to do is secure Integral, secure a boon, secure Fleet, and push into Devon and take Marathon and Melmanel. So in order to do that, or that's what I've been up to a lot the last couple of days. So a boon, or the last week, a boon was at over 90% contested and 40% advantage to the Caldari. And we've managed to get it down to 80. Well, it was at 84% and 30% advantage to Gallente yesterday. So we can see that there is a significant push in all of these systems for Caldari advantage. That's something to pay attention to, because that's usually the precursor to worse attacks. Hey, Lorelite, how's it going? We should talk about your stuff, but we'll see if we can get there. We do have the new some of the new Eden news to talk about. Anything interesting going on in Ugalis yet? Calmo won a battlefield in a boon early this morning. That battlefields, if you're doing the advantage fight, that is such a big swing. It's like 10 to 15%. So well, it's good that you're still alive. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm really surprised that we haven't gotten any actual news this week. Considering like everything that I'm talking about here are going to be talking about in this news, you'd think that there'd be recognition. Um, but and the shipcaster being completed. So either way, Devon is at high percentage. Fleet is still at pretty good Gallente advantage. Aboon has lowered its advantage. Hadley's less important now that it's a command outpost, but it's still pretty important. It's still over 50% contested, and they've been eating at that advantage as well. Oin has been coming along nicely. It's at 67% with 56% advantage, so that would make a good push. So that is this southern area. However, one of the reasons why this southern area has been so successful recently is because of the pushes in these other areas. The thing here is, when you make them fight in multiple fronts, it's more difficult for them to bring their numbers to bear. And that's one of the things that the Gallente has learned in the last few months, and why we've been pushing in 4 different zones of influence. So we have the Tantalin campaign, which basically, if they ever take their eye off the ball in the south, even for a second, we've proven that we can take some territory in here, and then they have to deal with it. So what was once just like, oh yeah, we can push up the advantage in Tantalin because it's a front line and take it, has now kind of begun to collapse this whole area and threaten Naga from the other direction, whereas Fleet and Devon has been kind of a stalemate for a while. So while this whole area goes burr, this area up here with the Tantalin front, with the likes of like Sedition, they've been able to get some real work done. But at the same time, we have this whole other side where the area around Ugalis has been retaken completely and refortified back down to Vlilarir, which is really good because that pushes it to, this is a pretty significant choke point to this whole area. And we got all the way up here to Othanoon. Wait a minute. Is Othanoon, oh my god, is Othanoon not a rear guard? Is Othanoon now a rear guard? Is Othanoon actually a rear guard? Hold on. Did they fix it? Nope. So here's the problem. In the out of game map, Othanoon says it's a rear guard. In in-game, it says it's a front line. Let's explain what the problem is. The problem is that Othanoon has that Stargate that connects it to Samanuni. All right? That Stargate shuts off when the Gallente own Othanoon. Now, the problem with this is that Othanoon being a frontline implies that it is still adjacent to Caldari Highsec, which means that this connection between Othanoon and Samanuni is still counting as existing, even though the gate is shut off. This does a couple of pretty funny things. Well, depends on your definition of funny. The first thing is that Othanoon continues to be a frontline, which means it can be plexed, effectively to be taken back. It can also have shipcaster connections to it pretty easily. It's all of the things that a front line is. The enemy can dock there, etc. The other funny thing is that if you are in Highsec, for example, like for instance, you're in Onamon, and you route yourself to, say, I don't know, Uli or Mott, right? If you route yourself from Onamon to Mott, with prefer shorter, it will actually route you through the Samanuni Othanoon gate. And if you hit autopilot, it will take you to Samanuni, nuzzle you up against the gate, and then sit there because the gate's off. So the gate is off, and yet the systems don't understand that it is off. Is this unfortunate? Yes. Is this likely to get fixed anytime soon? Unfortunately, this is the kind of bug that I suspect is simultaneously not impactful on a broad enough scale to warrant the cycles it might take to fix it, and also probably is a much more complicated problem to fix than we would think it is, right? Because a lot of this stuff, you gotta remember, like this system was created, it's Siri. Siri runs the Caldari navigation systems. That's what it is. Telling you to take a left into the lake. Caldari Navy fleets are still there in force. In where? In Othanoon? So either way, the point is that this is an unfortunate reality that has now been proven out by the taking of Othanoon, and I would like it for CCP to fix it, but it's such a niche bug that doesn't, like, you can't say that it actually like ends the game. And I'm sure, so the problem with bugs are every bug is a failed assumption, which means you can't just put a number of hours. Like if I was to just if I was to make a feature that says, okay, I can now sort my opportunities by jumps, right? I can guess as a programmer about how much time it would take for me to build that feature, right? I'm going to have to build the buttons or whatever, the method in order to make it sort. I'm going to have to make the sort function. I'm going to have to make it so that it works right, and I'm going to have to build the unit test for it. This might take like 4 or 5 hours, depending on the method, just for that one little user story. Fine. And it might explode to being like an 8-hour feature if there's some sort of weird quirk, whatever. However, a bug, this system is supposed to behave one way. By all rights, it should behave that way, but yet it does not, right? That's what a bug is. And therefore, it's not like you can really put hours on that. So as a developer, you would have to explain to CCP why this bug deserves your cycles, knowing that it may in fact take an untold amount of time to fix it, or may just be determined as something that can't be fixed very easily, right? That's the problem with these with a bug. So long story short, Othanoon's now frontline. However, the Stargate is closed. Ygali's is a rearguard owned by the Gallente, which is pretty cool for lore reasons, which we'll talk about probably in a bit. And the Gallente are doing extremely well on all 4 fronts, even though the Caldari continue to kind of push back a little bit, especially in, I think it was, well, we're fighting mostly over Oinasaiken, Devon, Marathon, and Integral in the south, and I'm not 100% sure in the north where exactly the fire lines are, but that's how that works. Oh no, they are. I can assure you that they are 100% aware of the issue. It's just a matter of convincing a developer to take the time to dig through this versus whatever new thing that they're trying to build. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Maybe there's a dev out there that has a real big passion for faction warfare and the precision of things. Maybe there's a dev that cares about this in particular and will put their 20% time in. But other than that, we'll just have to wait and see. All right. Let's see. Anything else? I don't think that's it. I think that's it for the faction warfare stuff. Also, you can see we now have our very own Gallente stellar transmuter, which I think looks really cool. It does have the 3 science balls in the back. You can see there's one there. The second one will appear soon, etc. Hey, Aikawarazu Chan. Hi, 07. There's the second ball forming. So all 3 balls form, and then they evaporate out, or, you know, whatever. So the interesting thing about this is that they're collecting something that then is used to power the shipcaster. Whether or not this is YC125 is not 100% verified, but, you know, that's a whole thing. It says critical resource base required for operating. That's the thing. Like, it is weird that a device two solar systems away would be able to provide power. You know, it's not like there's a wire connecting the two, probably. But the idea that they're pulling out a substance out of the star that is then used to power the shipcaster is what lends it to the fact that it could probably YC125. Which faction warfare faction would you say is the underdog right now? I prefer joining them. Oh, definitely. I would say that the Gallente are still the underdog. Let's see what's going on with Amar. Gallente are still absolutely the underdog as far as numbers and power. The Amar one looks a lot more even. Underdog my A. What are you talking about? Are you serious? Has the narrative really turned around from like the Gallente are losing? Why does the Gallente always lose? To the Gallente aren't the underdog that fast? Is that really happening? Hold up. Let's look. Oh no, I can just look it up here. Statistics. Let's see. Militias. The Caldari have 52,000. The Gallente have 42,000. That's pretty normal. The Gallente got 413 kills. The Caldari got 274 kills. That's also normal. Let's look at victory points. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we actually have caught up. We've caught up. Okay. Let's say that. Yeah, the fact that the Gallente are getting 0.65 million, so 650,000 victory points in a week, versus 0.67, so 670 million or 670,000. That's actually really big. Like we haven't been that close in a long time. Held that in the snuff money. I don't. Okay. I'm not even sure what you guys think that the snuff money is doing. So I don't know if I can contest that. They've definitely killed us while we're trying to plex. We can't use our caster snuff, just camps the caster beacons 24. Is that still happening? So, like, I want to talk about. Hold on. Nobody builds beacons, no point. But yet, hold on. There was 3 connected yesterday. Oh yeah, you're right. There are no Caldari State ones. That's interesting. Because, like, okay, this is something I do want to look into more as time goes on, because I'm really interested in this whole shipcaster thing. And whether or not it's being used or whether or not it's valuable. Now, first of all, my official position is that the shipcaster should teleport you to a random place in the system, not to the actual beacon, first and foremost. What is a shipcaster? Give me a few minutes and we'll go look. Yes, Gamel shipcasters do get used a bit. We just have scouts to make sure that there isn't anything. The one thing I learned last night is that from the opposite side of things. Also, but the other thing, Quantum, is that Gallente's put a lot more effort into stocking up in Taki. Therefore, being able to move things from our headquarters is inherently more valuable. Whereas, at least up until the afternoon Stargate was closed, it was just easier to project into the war zone by the Caldari through conventional methods than by the shipcaster. But my point is that one thing I have learned is that the shipcaster beacon on the far side gives absolutely zero indication that something is happening. It doesn't tell you that the shipcaster is active and connected to it, and it doesn't tell you that somebody's jumped to it. There is no visual indicator. I didn't see a sound indicator. There was nothing. The only indicator that I saw that something was used was when they decloaked to warp away. So, yeah, I think that Snuff was definitely camping especially the Caldari shipcasters, because they were new and you were the only ones that have them. But I would have to talk to the Amarr and the Minmatar to see how they're getting on about it. Because all I know is that what I get reported by the Caldari and what I've seen from the Gallente, which I understand that that's, you know, two totally different concepts. We can't move from Norvi thanks to snuff money. I don't look. All I know, from my understanding, and I don't know, I intentionally do not focus on this kind of thing. But are the Amarr the underdogs? It looks like the Amarr and Minmatar are pretty even when it comes to victory point generation. It looks like all four empires are pretty even at the moment when it comes to victory point. No, wait, no, I'm sorry. Minmatar is significantly lower than the Amarr as far as victory point generation. So I know that the Amarr lost a lot of territory right as they were trying to get their shipcaster built. But I'm not sure if I'd be willing to call there being an underdog versus an. I think that the Minmatar are in a resurgent right now. But the Amarr Minmatar war zone has always been significantly more fluid than the Gallente Caldari one. Galmil beacons are often out of snuff staging jump range, but our beacons were always like the other day. You guys had connections to Richard, Marathon, and there was something else. Right now we've got this Hadley's link is pretty neat. I will say that. And I'm assuming that this Vlilarir link is pretty useful too. At best, from my understanding, I mean, like the only help that I know of Snuff giving us is not knocking over our structures, which I guess you could argue that if you wanted to. Let's see. Let's go to Intaki. I think the Minmatar don't like them. I have heard that I mean, like, overall, they are not overly popular. The Amarr have one connected. The Minmatar have none connected. Overall, I've heard that they are not that popular. I think that, is Sissy working yet? I think that CCP should fix it, like I suggested. No, it doesn't look like Sissy's open yet. I think that CCP should make it so that jumps to via the shipcaster land you in a random position in the system. I don't even care if you jump a whole fleet, they get scattered throughout the system. That to me is fine because they can all just warp to each other. But yeah, the idea that you come through on in a specific choke point. I mean, you could argue that all of the low sec stargates do that, but I think that the shipcaster makes more sense if it's less precise. The other thing is that often I've noticed that, like, one of the things I think is a useful thing to do is, like, when you know you need it, you build it right then, and then you jump through it before anybody can do anything. Also, it's weird that Caldari's claiming snuff when Test and Goons have both joined Caldari militia. And now Absolute Order, I think it is stepping up to try to take back Othanoon because they're mad that the Othanoon Stargate's off. So as far as like outside blocks assistance goes, I would say that there's significantly more evidence of Caldari forces getting upgraded than Gallente forces, and numbers seem to indicate that as well. Goons have want the Tirja flank retaken, but have done literally nothing. I mean, look, I'm not saying that they're good allies. I'm just saying that they're certainly doing more faction warfare than Snuff is. If you say Snuff 3 times in a mirror, they start knocking over your structures. That's unironically true. I don't think the big blocks are actually contributing in any capacity. Yeah, I mean, like, I will say that that's pretty typical for empires in faction, or you know, nullsec blocks in faction warfare. But you know, whatever. It is what it is. All I'm saying is that if you want to start invoking names of people helping you, I can say that the goons literally joined Calmill. But I also think that everything going on in HiSec, like they were so goons joined Calmill basically explicitly to be able to get Phoenix Navy issues. So they ended up mostly just doing random farming without actually like doing it for the purposes of getting work done, if that makes sense. But then two things happened. One, the Lancer Dreads were announced, and two, the TTT fell apart. So that has taken a lot of their attention away, you know? So I'm just going to jump blindly, but I also have a co-ops ship, so it'll be fun. It's fun to have goons and test members on their kill board. It's also worth noting that like goons and tests are not friends with each other. So like goons have been actively AWOXing test while in the militia. Do you think we'll ever build our Stargate if we take that system back? Yeah, we have the system already. There hasn't been a hint that we can reclaim it. But then again, there hasn't been any lore recognition of the construction of the shipcaster or, you know, whatever. So I'm currently at the shipcaster, which is probably a bad thing to do streaming. And it says here that in 3 minutes I'll connect to Hadley's, and in 1 minute and 22 seconds I'll connect to Vlilarir. So we're gonna wait 3 minutes, and hopefully nobody from Calmill shows up to try to kill me. You're not building that gate because the Amignon one was realigned to Intaki? Riley, we've proven we can build more gates. I think that the Othanoon gate was always a Gallente red herring, and the taking of Intaki was always the more likely scenario. Okay, so Vlil is connecting in 30 seconds. It has had 4 kills in the last hour, has 59% advantage to the Gallente, and is 5.8% contested. That's really cool. If we look here, we can see it's right here, and it's accurate, right? 5.8 contested, 59%. That's pretty sweet. Unfortunately, I'm not going there. I'm giving everybody plenty of time to come and gate camp me when I jump into Hadley's. Here it goes. It's activating, but this is activating for Vlil. Boom. It's live. So while there is a visual indicator on this side, I did not see any visual indicator at all on the other side. And this is the thing, by the way, that is being powered by that stellar transmitter on the other side. So you can see that it has a science ball right here that it's using. There's also a science ball on the other side at the gate, you know, at the return or at the landing point. I feel like there should be some Galmill aligned, like, not gun stars, obviously, because I don't want to get spooked out, but like, there should be gun stars, but that follow Galmill as a friendly instead of otherwise at these locations. I think that would actually help. Yeah, we call like I still call these things science balls. That's what CCP I think it was originally entitled them. Pretty sure they're mini black holes, but I'm just going to use that term for clarity or for. I want to say accuracy's sake, but that's not actually it. Okay, so 40 seconds left. Yeah, killable faction turn. Exactly, like a Gunstar or Werpus. That's what I'm saying. But rather than using Edencom or Triglavian standings, it uses Calmill stand. Faction Warfare deployable sentry guns that only attack hostile militia. Sounds like a fun project. That's true. Thanks, Spoons. We have 12 seconds left. Here it goes. It's lighting up. And can I go like this? Does this work? Yeah. So I can either use my right mouse, or I can use radial menu, or I can click the button and initiate launch. Let's initiate launch. That looks cool. That was a good effect. And here I am. So now I am back in Hades. And you can see, so like, this Stargate, or this beacon looks active, right? You can say like, oh my gosh, this must be active. But the thing is that, you know, in a minute or two, it won't change in any way, I don't think. If what I saw yesterday rings true. I assumed that this meant that it was active. But it wasn't even at the time. So maybe that just means that a link is made. Yeah, they're naked singularities. Yeah, well, it's not a naked singularity. It is a black hole. Does it cost anything to actually jump through the shipcaster beacon? No. It's effectively a Stargate in every mechanical way except for how often they can be used and how the connection gets made. But they are full-on black holes because they have an event horizon. Here, hold on. Yeah. I'm just clarifying. Triglavian holographic transcriber. This device was recovered from the wreck of a Triglavian collective invasion vessel, and although the means by which it operates is not fully understood, it appears designed to just transcribe large amounts of data into spatial temporal storage using the holographic principle. The startling possibility raised by this device is that the Triglavian collective stores much of its information in the fabric of space-time itself, and quite possibly in dedicated singularities. This device has a large integrated data buffer. So this allows them to transcribe data directly onto the singularity, or the event horizon, I suppose. And then the conduit datacaster connects to the Triglavian conduits for communication, which we see in their reports that the conduit loop construct gate is the thing that records the data, at least in a couple of the reports. But CCP called them naked singularities when the trig ships first popped up. Well, yeah, and now that I read this, it does say singularity. So maybe, but like usually when you think about a holographic imprinting onto a black hole, it's actually the event horizon itself that gets the information stored on it, as opposed to the singularity. But okay, so let us move on. We have a lot of stuff to cover. Where is... And I'm going to play an ad while I figure things out. Apparently this doesn't work on the recordings, you know, the pre-recorded one, or the after the fact. So just like, I don't know, hit refresh so that way YouTube gives you another ad. I don't know. What does it take to anchor them? 2 pieces of PI, 2 pieces of moon goo, like T2 production materials. I don't know if you can see this, but probably you can. All right, so what should we do next? Next, we can talk about, oh boy. So the new Excel is live. This is more of an update or like just an FYI. I do not know. I need to look more into this. I haven't actually played with it myself. I don't own an Excel thing. I've heard that you can do it on the online tool. My 10 seconds of cursory searching didn't let me figure out how to do that effectively. So this will probably have to be for another time. But for those of you who do have Excel set up, from my understanding, this is fantastic. Like, if you are an industrialist or a market person, the information that can be pulled from this is incredibly powerful. The big issue that I still have is that it is tied to your key. So I don't know how useful this is going to be for sharing information, but I'm sure people are going to get creative about that kind of thing. So we'll just have to see. And I definitely want to do more, some work on this. If anybody has anything to comment about it, please let me know in the comments down below or anything like that. Or if there's a method to get this easier, let me know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And there is like an hour-long or hour-and-a-half long live stream where they go into it in detail. So that's cool. In other news, CCP wants my money. And by God, they might just get it. The 20th anniversary collector's edition. So for the 10th anniversary, there was a $100 box set. Oh, I can't because my camera's literally on it. But I have the 20th anniversary box set. Where's the Rifter here? Where's the Rifter? I don't know where I put the Rifter. All right, well, whatever. It came with a USB Rifter. It came with the Danger game. It came with a bunch of little goodies and stuff like that. So they're doing it again. But this time they've decided to go with $174 or $175, much in the sense that, like, let's be honest, collector's editions have gotten insane over the last couple of years. It's worth noting that this does not get you the game, pretty much, probably. Yeah, game not included. So this is literally just a box of memorabilia, possibly some game time, I don't even know. However, most of the memorabilia is still unannounced. However, they've now announced one piece of the bonuses, the goodies that you get in it, and already I'm now going to be saving up my money to get me one of these. They're going to be available in 7 days. If you want to buy me one, let me know. CCP, if you want to give me one, let me know. But oh my God, there's a plushie. There's a plushie Fetto. I have been asking for a plushie Fetto for at least half a decade. This has been the obvious direction to go. So this is a 6-inch Fetto plushie, so about, you know, half a foot long. I want this so bad. For those of you who don't know, Fettos are kind of the alien race. They're effectively the cockroaches of EVE Online. Back to the game real quick and see. So Fettos, the Fetto is an omnivorous sponge-like creature. Its reddish skin and numerous small claw-like tentacles, which it uses to move around and protect itself. A primitive being, the Fetto method of eating and absorbing nutrition is slow and inefficient. This means that food stays for a long time in the Fetto's body and will most often have rotted or turned foul by the time before the animal passes it out of its system. The Fetto ejects fumes from the body, which, for reasons explained above, have a most horrible odor. The Fetto possesses a fantastic sense of smell, and so uses these fumes to communicate with each other. They are, however, both blind and deaf, having no eyes or ears. The mouth is located on the underside of the beast, but the Fetto feeds by positioning itself over the food and lowering itself down on it. So, Fettos are, worn fedora. Wait, what? Never mind. Fedos are kind of a much loved and maligned equally kind of creature. Are there any other aliens in game? Yes. However, most of them are a little bit more like less alien. They're like there's slaver hounds, for example. There's a lot of different animals that seem to potentially have been evolved from animals that were brought here by the colonists originally, rather than being 100% native. I think Fedos are considered to be 100% native. There actually even is a chronicle. It's very short, entitled The Fedo. It just says, wait, what? Hold on. Fedo is a fairly small animal originating in underground caves in the planet Palpus. So yeah, it's completely alien. The planet was settled by the Amarians long ago, and the Fedo has spread with Amar vessels throughout the galaxy cluster ever since. The Fedo is an omnivorous, sponge-like creature, reddish skin, numerous small-like tentacles, blah blah blah. Ejects fumes, lowering down on it. Incredibly strong and resilient species. They can live in the total vacuum for several hours before succumbing to the cold and lack of oxygen. Some Matari have used this fact to their advantage, employing Fedos on many of their ships for cleaning and garbage disposal. The Fedos are especially useful in that they can clean the ship on the outside as well as the inside. They can get to hard-to-reach areas on the ship, and most importantly, will exterminate many of the pesky bacteria commonly found in spaceships. The Matari feed the Fedos with every scrap of waste produced on the ship, letting the beasts roam free around the vessels or even inside it. This saves money, but the downside is the foul stench produced by the Fedos, something which discourages most everybody from using them. So what we're hearing is that the Matari, they not only are their ships rust buckets, but they also stink like poop. Back to work for you? 07. Yeah, there's all kinds of different, the server hamsters, yes. Like the stream for the server hamsters. Or guinea pigs, rather. All right. So yeah, that's what I want to do, or that's why I want that. All right, let's see. There was a New Eden news that we didn't cover. This was the one that we kind of knew was already going to come because this is the last piece of the home fronts being kind of rolling out. So let's go ahead and check out this thing. This is the New Eden news for June 14th, YC125, Federation Senator charged with conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism. Valor Essence, outspoken labor populist Senator Thibault Taylor, was expelled from the Senate yesterday, according to official reports. This decision was made by the Senate Disciplinary Committee and confirmed by the Senate following the accusations to the Federal Intelligence Office, FIO, that he is a founding member of the terrorist organization Galantia Primacy. Taylor's whereabouts are currently unknown. According to Senate officials, the disciplinary committee proceedings were initially carried out in secrecy in order to avoid alerting Taylor. Based on the evidence provided by the FIO, the former senator has been charged with conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism, murder, the misappropriation of federal funds, and treason. A cluster-wide manhunt is underway for the former senator. There has been no news regarding his location, but Federation's authorities have informed the scope that they are confident he will be apprehended soon. Thibault Taylor was elected to the office as a member of the Labor Populist Party for the largely industrial subdistrict of Northwest Astron, and was considered to be on the right wing of the party with greatest appeal among the Gallente working class. A veteran of the Battle of Caldari Prime, Taylor ran on a platform of increased...
Starting the Fedo Fund. Have yourself a great day, Ash. Welcome back.
Thank you, LM1. And was considered to be... Taylor ran on a platform of increased military spending and sanctions against Caldari imports. Earlier this year, Taylor was appointed to a military spending oversight subcommittee. According to the FIO, it was then that he began working to channel funds and military assets to associates. The FIO alleged he and other like-minded veterans used these funds and equipment to build their own paramilitary force, the Galantia Primacy. The Labor populists have moved to expel Taylor from their party, accelerating a process that began following the internal dispute over his remarks on the United Response Act riots. Gallente primacy has been confirmed as responsible for a number of recent terrorist attacks on federal facilities. The group identifies itself as ultra-nationalist in the tradition of the Guardians of the Gallente. Disbanded since before the Yule conference, the Guardians party was in power during the first Caldari Gallente War. The primacy's philosophy has been alluded to by Taylor at his press conference just hours before his expulsion. Quote, "The dreams of old Gallente has been sullied by the soft hands of compromise and the tears of the weak. The future belongs to the Gallente, but the politicians in Valour would rather choke good and true citizens with red tape than seize it." Taylor disappeared from public view shortly after giving the speech. Addressing the press after Taylor's expulsion from the Senate, President Agar delivered a stern warning on the ultranationalist philosophy. Quote, "It deeply concerns me that anyone who served inside these halls could look back on the brutality and injustice of our dark past and draw inspiration. This was a time when our people were not safe from their own government. A time when our rulers committed atrocities and risked everything to escalate the conflict. Ultranationalism claims to be a return to old values, yet it forgets the most precious of them all, liberty." So this is, of course, the last piece of the puzzle, or actually, no, the next piece is the last piece of the puzzle of the Shadow War kind of coming to pass, or, or not Shadow War, the home fronts, the different home front sites, which have different, enemies. One of the enemies that you've run into, especially as a Gallente guy, is the Gallente primacy. In the same way that you have the Ashes of Turner for the Mimitar, which I always keep calling the Ashes of Allara because I'm a giant nerd, and the UCF for the Gallente, as well as charitable mission destroyed in surprise attack by heretical cult. Nerut Domain, an Amar charitable mission to mining colonies in the Nerut system, was destroyed in a surprise attack yesterday. A group calling themselves the Disciples of Purity has taken responsibility for the attack. In a holoreel released by the Disciples of Purity, a masked figure calling himself the Grand Incarnate said that the attack had taken place because the mission had been providing aid to seeking freedom under the terms of Empress Katniss's recent Emancipation Edict. In the holoreel, the group has made a number of demands, including calls for the abdication of the pretender Katniss Tashmerkon, the disillusionment of the corrupted heir families, and reinstatement of the long-defunct Council of Apostles to select a new true-blooded emperor. This is an extension of the Purity of the Throne, which was the group that opposed Empress Katniss's rise to power. The disciples claim to be, quote, "a new sword of justice, forged from the dual blades of Scripture's greatest defenders." The exact meaning of this is not clarified in the holoreel. Nonetheless, the group's name and demands regarding the Council of Apostles have led to speculation that the dual blades refer to the Purity of the Throne's heresy and the Order of St. Tetramon. The Order's Grandmaster Camon Dulcur and Tetramon has repudiated any connection with the Disciples of Purity, condemning the attack as, quote, "an unconscionable act of heretical butchery finding no justification in scriptures as the Order of St. Tetramon understands it." The Emperor family issued an official condemnation of the group, swiftly followed by the leaders of the all royal and major houses. The Ministry of Internal Order has confirmed that the investigation is underway, but sources within the Amar government suggest that it is yet to uncover much about the organization. Questions still remain as to who is funding the Disciples of Purity, or how they may have obtained a fleet. Further reports of attacks on other holy missions have continued to come in. However, no members of the Disciples have been identified so far, as it appears to be wearing masks at all times. Any attempt to capture one of their vessels has resulted in its crew opting for self-destruction over capture and interrogation. So, as we know, there's been divides going on in the Empire, and this accusation against the Order of St. Tetramon is pretty interesting in particular. So, the House Sorum and House Artichaper are definitely the most, religiously zealotous of the different empires. They've been working together a lot. Artichaper is connected to the Amatar people, and there has been a lot of, not just within that group, but with other groups too within the Empire, there's been a lot of equipment being moved all over the place. We've been watching this for the Stellar Transmuter thing, but if the Purity of the Throne has been building up because of this, we should go back and look at all of those to see who is secretly amassing an army. Khanid has been doing their thing, although the idea that Khanid being Purity of the Throne is kind of weird. But there are the double blades is, I think, a direct reference. They don't say it here, but to Caddis Tashmerkon's Jubilee pronunciation. In the first Jubilee in 2017 on YC119 922, we see. Never mind, that's not the right one. That's the preparation. Nope, this ain't it either. There it is. The theology count. So this is yeah, same thing, just a couple days later. This is actually on the Jubilee. Or no, this is later. This is 2019. So this is her 3rd anniversary. The Theology Council's various orders and committees have also been involved in a large number of meetings, not least concerning Empress Katniss' new doctrinal work, Pax y Kiltse Do, or Peace of the Two Swords. Most observers of the Amar Imperial Court are expecting significant announcements to be made shortly. So this Pax y Kiltse Do is the doctrine of two swords, which is basically gives the Empress, or states that the Empress has.
Continuing the Fedo Fund carrot.
Thank you, Milk. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it says, as Holy Amar begins the 3rd year of this blessed reign of her most sublime and imperial majesty, Caddis the first apostle of the true faith, sovereign defender of the imperial right, the Theology Council, supreme sober of theology, affirms divine inspiration of the Empress's Pax Kitse Do and promulgates it to all who shelter within the embrace of Holy Amar and the imperial right. Theology Council notice of publication, the Peace of the Two Swords. In addition to Amar scripture, Paxi Kitse Do is a theological work by Empress Katniss I, setting out her interpretation and application of the doctrine of the Peace of the Two Swords. The work articulates the vision of Empress Katniss I for the Amar Empire's future and her invocation of the ancient doctrine that the ruler of the Empire wields the sword of spiritual authority alongside the sword of temporal power. So she's the head of the religion and the state. That's what it says. I am going to have to start jotting down these people's names, because if people are actually going to start donating for this thing, I want to be able to put down who it is that did it. So we have Milk, we have LM1, and we have, because once I do get it, I'm going to have to like put a thank you or something like that of some kind. Be a special shout out. Where was the other one? I guess the other one was the good old sheesh coming in before we even talked about it. So Milk and LM1, thank you guys so much for helping me get the Fedo. I am streaming right now, right? Like the stream if I'm streaming. No, for some reason it's saying that in my widget it says that my current bitrate is 0, which I don't think is true. Yeah, it says it's help. All right. Fair enough. Like the stream anyways. All right, so, and then Let's go back. Amarr Interstellar Shipcaster fully operational in Mehator system. The Amarr Empire has brought online its new Interstellar Shipcaster in the Mehator system, along with the Stellar Transmuter and Ohide, providing the necessary resources to operate the Triglavian-derived technology. The achievement made the Amarr Empire the second of the Big Four powers to gain access to the long-range travel technology after the Caldari State's impressive development project came to fruition a month ago. The Amarr Empire has been deploying Shipcaster beacon constructors to the Amarr Minmatar militia war zone in a similar fashion to the Caldari Gallente. Hey, there we go. Now I can officially put Sheesh to the list. The Minmatar Republic's efforts to obtain the technology are also nearing completion, with the Republic having commenced its construction phase of its own project in the Ammo and Barkrik systems. Reports in the Caldari State indicate that a lead in understanding and operating the technology has led to a number of associated projects and program for the Caldari Navy to use the system for extended logistics. In particular, it has been suggested by some observers of activity in the DS-TAC M4Q constellation of Syndicate region that certain traffic patterns and energy signatures picked up from the area could indicate secret beacons used by the state's military and colonization efforts. Connecting. That's one of the things I really like about... that's the one thing I really like about the Shipcaster thing. Even though people are saying that the players aren't really liking it, it's one of those things, kind of like the Edencom ships, that weren't built for us. They exist in the universe. We use them in order to justify their existence. But the empires are building these things for their own means, for their own, you know, plot, whatever that happens to be. Persistent rumors of the edges of Caldari military and mercenary groups also suggest that the state is pressing on with efforts to increase fine-scale control over the technology and solve the problems of operating both casters and beacons within planetary gravity wells. Read Dust 514. News in brief. Federal Defense Union secure Aboon and Mercomeister systems despite state protectorate capture of Marathon system. So that's what we were talking about, the fallout from it. We managed to hold Aboon and take back Marathon, but they also... Or sorry, hold Aboon and take back Integral, but Marathon and the other one had already fallen. So now we have to recover those. Right? Melmanil, that's what it is. Concord implements moratorium on new XL structures in high security space following agreements by empires. That ended up well. Concord implements moratorium on new XL structures in high security space following agreement by empires. This is followed by disagreement by player empires. Confused reports of Svarog clade forces on surface of Ugalis 4 and 6 disappearing or destroyed. So Ugalis keeps showing up, guys. Keeps showing up. We should revisit the Ugali situation video soon. Oh my god.
Connecting. This isn't for Fedo, just for many hours of listening while playing Eve. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you so much, dude. That is so awesome. However, I'm significantly distracted by the fact that for some reason the super chats are no longer coloring themselves based on the amount, and so that one isn't red when it would have been like a couple weeks ago. So I'm kind of confused by that, but yeah, man, okay, I'm going to take a second. Obviously, I haven't, like, I would love to have called the last couple of weeks a it's only $10? No, that's not only $10, dude. Oh! Oh! Okay, so that's $10 of DKK. It's not a ton of dollars. I use Monopoly money. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I don't care. I really appreciate it anyways. I appreciate all of you guys giving the gifts and all that stuff. Simply because okay, that's cool. No, man, I'm cool with that. Um I've been really nervous, right? Because I've been wanting to create content. I've been needing to create content. I don't want to not have, money on top of everything else. Um But of course, you guys have been continuing to support. There's all the members and patrons and all that stuff that make it so that my income, like, while I don't make a ton of money, it continued to go on even when I'm making, when I'm not able to make content. So, while I can assure you, I am focused head on continuing to make content, i.e., me doing this stream the one day I get an opportunity to. Um, I'm just so thankful that I get to do this job and that you guys aren't upset at me when I have to focus on, my real life because uh my son takes a lot of time and he deserves a lot of time. So, you guys are awesome. I appreciate it. Okay. All that said, oh yeah, because the $20 one is orange. Okay, we're good to go. If you do want to become a member or a patron, please consider doing so. You get access. I put out videos to the patron to members early when I do edit videos, and I can put out polls to the members, and you get access to the special member only or supporter only chat in the Discord that I often bounce ideas off of. So, uh, you know what? I'm not. Oh, it's 20. You know what? I'm not. You're right. It's 20 pounds. I don't care anymore. I appreciate the gifts. I'm not overly concerned with the exact numbers. It's what makes it all possible. I'll sort out the 50 currencies when we're all done, or let YouTube do it for me. All right. RJD and RSS reach agreement for joint counter-terrorist task force to combat Ashes of Turner militants. That's the Republic Justice Department and the what is RSS? Republic Security Service? I don't know. Federation Navy imposes blockade on planets in Ugali system using low orbit defense satellites. So again, something's happening in Ugalis, guys. It continues to be that way, but like this has been going on for years now, but they've been banging on this drum so hard that it's made Lorelite like pass out at least a couple of times. Republic Security Service. Yeah. Upwell Consortium protest structure moratorium. By the way, if you can, uh, I don't know if Lorelite you want to send somebody somewhere in particular. There's the roleplay is primary Discord. There's Lorelite's Twitter and all that sort of stuff. I will say if this Ugali stuff kicks off, it will probably be Lorelite who notices it first. Upwell Consortium protests structure moratorium and pledges to continue expanding horizons of space colonization. That's fine. Sorrow and Derail units evacuate from Ugalis under Federal Marines escort as Black Eagles anti-war clone units deploy. Look, man, I don't trust the Black Eagles worth a damn, but I'm glad to see Derail getting kicked out of there. Drone footage from surface Ugalis 4 indicates massive damage to subsurface arcology and antimatter blast zone. So that's the same as Svaral Clade forces have disappeared or destroyed. So it looks like maybe the Federation Navy has blown up a pretty significant Svaral Clade arcology. Or at least that's the official message. Who's Derail? Derail is Concord's anti-AI division. I think it's... I don't remember. The AI stands for artificial intelligence. I know that. Artificial intelligent life. Regulation of artificial and intelligent life. I don't know what DE stands for anymore. Hetman General Kenneth Filmer orders court-martial of 5 Republic Fleet officers suspected of aiding insurrectionists. This is just more of the ashes of... and Sorrow is anti-piracy. Sorrow is a combination of their anti-war clone division and their secret research and development Black Ops team. Concord Inner Circle debates threat of unlicensed artificial intelligence research in secret session in Uli. More AI. This AI stuff is connected directly to the Ugali stuff and other places, including oh, I guess it's in the other news. President Salasagard pledges to stabilize Ugali's planetary and orbital situation as Senate ratifies martial law. So this is like, I feel like this is the fuck around find out section of the headlines, right? Like, everybody's mad at Salasagard for taking the 2 constellations around Intaki, and this is almost like her saying, like, I'll do it again, right? Like, I don't know. Ugali's is like 2 jumps from Intaki, by the way. State Peacekeeper broadcast message to Ugali's colonies condemning Gallente recklessness as Kirkland Risk Control withdraws. So Kirkland Risk Control is the Caldari group that is often brought in when it comes to artificial intelligence and other weird spooky stuff, wormhole-related stuff, or any of that kind of stuff. They've been there too, along with Derail. So all of the people who have been in there arresting people and trying to secure the precursor artifacts have now been kicked out by the Gallente. Imperial Chancellor Aslan Kosh orders Ministry of Internal Orders to investigate attacks on ministry recruiters. Mixed messages there. Oh, on the... Yeah. Okay. Next, we did have a scope video, which we can play. Now, the cool thing about this scope video, we'll let the scope video play, and then we'll go over the ticker. Kirkland were hired initially by Ishikone, but then bought their contract bought out by Derail Sorrow. Correct, but my point is that the history of Kirkland Risk Control has been that they get called in with weird alien things, wormholes, and AI. Those are when Kirkland Risk Control get brought in, like with the Ghost Ship, for example. And they were also involved in early wormhole discovery. So, okay. There is a ticker. We'll go over the ticker afterwards. The thing is about this video is that it is... I like this scope news because it is basically player... This is player actions. Most of this stuff that is going to be described is actually just a scope, so an in-universe reporting of what has happened, or what happened during the last war in Nullsec.
After nearly a decade of being a key member of the Imperium Coalition, the Initiative announces its departure on amicable terms. In a statement, Initiative CEO Dark Shines expresses that it is now time for their organization to embrace fresh challenges on their own terms. Headquartered in the Fountain region, the Initiative reaffirms its strong alliance and collaboration with their neighboring Imperium members in Delve. Additionally, the Initiative has declared its unwavering commitment to deploy its formidable forces supporting the B2 coalition in the ongoing war in the north. The conflict that initiated in the region of Pureblind has carried on for close to 3 months now. What started as incursions by Winterco into the B2 coalition-held region grew into a full-blown war, with multiple nullsec parties drawn into the fray. During the initial phases, Winterco wasted no time in establishing their foothold and constructing citadels in the region for their operations. The incursions made by Winterco did not escape the attention of the major capsuleer power blocks of New Eden. The first major escalation happened when the Imperium, led by Asher Elias, made a significant move by deploying their forces to Pureblind in support of the B2 coalition, which...
Couple things. First of all, I know that a lot of people have kind of there's been a little bit of clowning in the fact that Asher looks this way in this video when he looked different in the Phoenix Quadrant video. But one of the things that always jumped out to me is that, like, so the goons go for the red and black, or the yellow and black outfit thing. And normally when you just see like a portrait of one of them, that's fine. But when you see them all together like this, doesn't this look like it's just an Interbus board meeting? Guys, like, seriously. I just think that's funny. But I will say that the quality of the animations that they've moved up to is pretty incredible. They keep making things way better as far as like the production of these things. And also, there's a comment. Yes, it's an Airbus board meeting. Jim says, I'm hoping to see more and more of that scope reports on player stuff. It's just so in the spirit of what EVO is all about. The scope has actually always been pretty good at mixing player news and like the New Eden news together. There has been like ones where it's 50-50. I think this is one of the first ones in at least in a long time where it's been almost exclusively about the player stuff. However, Interbus LP store when? That's called Evermarks. Anywho, but my point is, I really like this is one of the things I really love about EVE, which is that everyone is role-playing no matter what. Everything that happens in the universe is canonical, and the universe itself has to respond to it. So this war happened, and so this in-game news agency is reporting on it, and that just makes sense.
Which had been vastly outnumbered in defending their territory. According to Asher, the main strategic objective of this deployment was to prevent Winterco from expanding its territory and renting it out to smaller entities. Although the PanFam Coalition, a long-term rival of the Imperium, did not fully commit to the war in Pureblind, they did deploy many of their most experienced Capsuleers to support Winterco in their fights against the Imperium and B2 forces. The combined forces of the Imperium and B2 Coalition numbered approximately 70,000 Capsuleers, while Winterco and PanFam had a force of around 83,000 Capsuleers. Deploying a vast number of fleets to the region, this war has unleashed a relentless wave of death and destruction. Initially contained within the confines of Pureblind, numerous significant battles unfolded involving thousands of ships. Among them, the most ferocious clashes erupted in the strategically pivotal system of X47L TAC-Q, where Winterco...
So there have been comments that I've seen about people talking about how this is, like, the videos are so jerky here. The reason why is because this is live, like this is actual footage, and it's done in tie-dye. So what they do is, there's this really cool technique that they have where you videotape something in tie-dye, and then you feed it through this tool that basically takes anytime there's an identical frame, it just cuts it. So what it'll do is it'll actually take those like tie-dye and it'll compress it down into an actual like video animation. However, that isn't obviously perfect, but it does make for these really cool videos.
Managed to construct a formidable Keepstar Citadel. Despite enduring weeks of relentless combat and incurring substantial losses, the combined forces of the Imperium and B2 triumphed, reducing the Keepstar to ruins. However, undeterred by their setback, Winterco swiftly established a replacement, perpetuating the cycle of conflict. Another notable confrontation transpired in the system of 5ZXX TAC-K, where over 4,000 ships engaged in a grueling 15-hour battle, culminating in the annihilation of yet another Winterco Keepstar. As the war persists, its reach extends beyond Pureblind, with skirmishes igniting in various corners of New Eden. Systems like the ravaged Turner and the Triglavian-controlled Navula in the region of Poshven have become the new battlegrounds. While Pureblind is no longer the singular focus of the conflict, the situation is still smoldering in the northern regions as both sides have retained their forces there but not made any significant moves. The heavy engagements have been more sporadic, with both sides taking a measured and reserved approach to future hostilities. Much of their focus has been on defending against any unwanted advances across several regions in the north, waiting for the respective enemies to make a mistake. Needless to say, countless millions of ship crew members and Citadel residents have already perished in this merciless conflict. Most tragic are the workers who were enticed by employment agencies with promises of a brighter future for themselves and their families living in the numerous citadels scattered across New Eden. These unfortunate people are now left in a state of uncertainty. With the departure of the initiative from the Imperium, their only solace lies in fervent prayers and hopes that this latest development will not intensify the conflict, potentially making their homes the next primary targets. This is Alton Havery reporting for The Scope.
Okay, hold on. We got to go back here. I love the idea that there is an Upwell consortium advertising in an Upwell structure, right? Like there's
by employment agencies with promises of a brighter future for themselves and their families living in the new.
That's an advertisement for the Citadels. So in the Citadel, there are TVs that play advertisements about how great it is to live in an Upwell Citadel. Amazing. Peak dystopia. But yeah, I think this is one of the very first. This is the first time that we've seen a Citadel that isn't actively under attack, or siege or whatever. So yeah, we're definitely seeing other inside. At least someone cares about the civilians. The SOE, I'm sure, are pissed off. The one thing I also find funny is that the footage that they're watching here is the video that we're currently watching. Like this ticker is the same ticker that was going on at the bottom. That's a little funny. But either way, I digress. It's a good video. Let's see. The ticker, though, says, markets across New Eden adjusting to SEC surcharges on broker fees and industrial operating costs. That's the changes that were made with Viridian and the fees and stuff. Federation agents pursue ex-senator and terrorist leader Tybalt Taylor following Galantia primacy attacks. Upwell Consortium Board meets to consider commercial strategy in light of regulatory challenges. Kali Rogue Drone Cultural Exchange Society raided by Black Eagle agents investigating industrial AI subversion. There we go. So Kali is one of the big cities of the Gallente, and the University of Kali is one of the biggest universities in the cluster. So the Kali have a Rogue Drone Cultural Exchange Society, and it was raided by the Black Eagles, which we know have recently taken over Ugalis. Garissa's pirates ambushed by Intaki State Police and Caldari Navy in attempted convoy raid in Syndicate. There's been a lot of Garissa's raids and counter raids in the last few weeks, months, especially around the Syndicate area. Royal houses report significant increases in recruitment as slaves opt for military emancipation path. Of course, this has been Tatis's main goal in the first place because, you know, her pro-people. This is a very, like, Lincoln Emancipation Proclamation where, like, by freeing the slaves, they make it so that the people who go along with it are, in other words, that are less like tied to their slaves and are willing to do this emancipation are going to benefit the most from it because they get strong military. But the people who own slaves that don't want to emancipate them may even see defections as they see other slaves be able to find their way to freedom. Report from Ugalis 4 indicates renegade artificial intelligence subsurface facility destroyed by Svarog Clade. So there we go. So what we thought probably from last time, we figured it was the Gallente shooting or destroying a Svarog installation, but this seems to suggest that the Svarog destroyed some artificial intelligence underground. Which one of these two makes more sense? We already know that the Gallente have access to several of the arcologies or whatever. They haven't blown them up yet, so that would be the first time they've done that. However, we know that the Svarog Clade in particular, but all of the Triglavians hate mind linking and are very suspicious of artificial intelligence. So I suspect that this version of the story where the Svarog blew up the facility is pretty high on the possible list, and then it's possible that the Federation then blew up the Svarog as a way of, like, covering it up, taking credit. Hard to say. Angel Cartel's Rafik Zohar reportedly evades assassination attempts as associates of the Guri Malakan go into hiding. Society of Conscious Thought urges Concord and Empires to maintain restrictions on AI and ancient technology. Republic, military, security, and police authorities join forces to combat Ashes of Turner seditionists. Edencom Intelligence meets with Derail and Sorrow officers to assess Triglavian planetary incursions in Ugalis. So Derail and Sorrow, having been kicked out of Ugalis, are now running to Mommy Edencom to see what to do about it. Amar Empire's Order of St. Tetramon hunts Disciples of Purity as group declared apostates by Theology Council. So the Order of St. Tetramon are putting in a lot of effort to make sure that they are not seen as being the source of the Disciples of Purity, since they were accused of being that. Chairman Akimaka Saraki attends mass induction of new military conscripts at Landfall Shrine and New Caldari Prime. By the way, I sincerely believe that right now Chairman Akimaka Saraki might be the most dangerous person in New Eden. We should probably talk about that sometime. Industrial outputs of Mimitar Republic projected to rise at significantly higher rate due to itinerant forage program. And Federation's Black Eagle sweep Ugalis 6 in search of illegal instances and backups of unrestricted AI networks. So the Svarog clade blew up the ones in Planet 4, but now Black Eagles are looking on Planet 6. When we saw earlier, we see confused reports of Svarog clade forces on surface of Ugalis 4 and 6 disappearing or destroyed. So they've cleared 4 already and found the destroyed systems, and yeah, there was the massive antimatter blast zone, which is also, by the way, giant antimatter blast is a very much of a Svarog calling card. So it looks like the Svarog blew up 4, but we don't see that in 6, and now the Black Eagles are hunting over Planet 6. So that could be a thing. All hail the Forge Caravan. Yeah, I may or may not have told the Black Eagles to check themselves before they wreck themselves. Planet 6 is in an awkward state. Yeah. I can firmly say it was not one of mine. Lorelei, I disavow. I'm here for another lore dump. Well, this is actually it, I think, for the lore updates for today. These 2 updates. We are still waiting for more New Eden news. Like I said, it's been kind of odd how quiet it's been the last couple of weeks, or the last week or so, all things considered. But as of right now, the conflict in the north 15 days ago is the latest New Eden news. Now, there are a few questions in the home fronts that I have to ask. The biggest one being, hey, cool, thanks for the sub. So here's the question about the home fronts as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Like, there's a lot of little questions here and there. There's a lot of really interesting things, like the rogue drone site where you're having to repair the controller. You know, and there's a little things here and there that are kind of interesting. But the one I find most interesting by far is the ore. So as part of the event, or as part of the thing, we have, oh gosh, what's that? What is it called again? What is the ore called? Help me. Say it here. No, it's not that. Mutanite, yes. So my question is, why are there 6 types of mutanite? Okay. Now, one might think, oh, well, it's one for each race, right? Because each race has their own version of the thing. But there's 4 races, not 6, so that's already not right. So maybe, like, the point is that all of these are mechanically identical. They are 4 meters cubed each, all of them. And they all sell as a commodity for the exact same types. This ore, each of them are based on one of the abyssal weather types. This one says this has dark abyssal environment energy, and it has surprisingly low friction coefficient unless exposed to photonic radiation. So it's a dark energy and responds to light, right? Then this one is a gamma and emits trace amounts of cosmic radiation in the presence of harmonic sounds and responds to sound. It is hotly disputed amongst the scientific community as to which genre of harmonic sound produces the best results. We have this one, which is exotic, and it is the densest of the mutanites, but only when inert in a zero energy environment. So anytime it receives any energy, it actually loses density. It becomes less dense the more energy it gets, which is, I guess, arguably accurate. But it is the densest form, and it deals with zero energy environment. This one is a firestorm environment, and it is always about one. You know what? I'm gonna get really picky here because I just found this out earlier. I don't think that Kelvin has degrees. So I think it's always 0.97 Kelvin. Because there's not degrees of Kelvin. Isn't that correct? Is that correct? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But this says that it is about 1 Kelvin warmer than its environment. Ha! See? In which it is stored, but the thermal conductivity is reduced the hotter it becomes. So this responds to thermic energy. And then this one is an electrical. Nice. I like everybody telling me that I'm correct. That's my favorite. Oh, yeah. Okay. East goes down too. I don't know if the chat's showing up. Yeah, it is. Okay. This one is an electrical, and it generates a powerful electrical current, but only when sealed and void outside of range of any conductive or sensory apparatus. So, basically, it having detection on it causes it to change, right? Has anybody taken them into the abyss yet? Ooh. Ooh. So this is multiple abyssal environment types. It has a stabilizing effect on empty space around it, rendering nearby warp drives inoperable as long as it remains exposed. So this one is what shows up in the abyssal site. So the abyssal one gets this admixy, which causes the warp disruption field. But these other 5 all show up in the metaliminal meteorite event site, which is really weird because it's one site, 5 different types. Again, it's not divided by race because you will get, you'll go to, we did multiple of them in a row, and we would get Solus one time and Conflag the next and Tenebrit, sometimes or whatever. But yet the empires buy them all. So my 2 questions are, why are there 5 of these? Like, think about it. Let's set aside the lore thing for a second. Let's just think about this as a video game. They're already developing and designing 21 sites to get all of these different event sites built. Now, obviously, most of them are tweaks of each other, sets of 4. But, like, having the metaliminal meteorite just spawn the rock, and then you mine it, and then you take it home and sell it, is one thing. But then having it be a random one of these 5 rocks, or however they select it, may not even be random, but, and then use that, and then multiply your work times 5 to make it so that the commodities are all right, and blah, 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 blah. The new objects, the new images, new everything. Why do that? I'm not saying it's terribly hard, necessarily. If you're going to make 1, make 5. But, like, why? Mechanically, it's basically the same. The only thing effectively it does is that if you're mining in multiple sites in a row and you're not selling them in between, then you end up with stacks of them, like different stacks of them, because you'll have 2 different kinds from 2 different ones. We should definitely take these to the abyss. How many abyssal space are in the game? 5. 1 for each. This is 1 for each abyssal type, and then the combined one. the abyssal runners of the Pochvin region causes them to appear. I think, well, yes, all of our manipulations of space-time, from Pochvin to filaments to these shipcasters, are causing these anomalies to appear. That's true. But my point is that from a development point of view, there's effectively no reason for there to be 5 kinds of rocks with 5 different properties and 5 different descriptions. And yet, there they are. Which leads me to the second question. Well, there's 6 total. One is the combined one. Which leads me to my second question. Why do the empires want this ore? What is it going to be used for? What, with all of their other secret research and everything else going on, why are they interested in this ore so much that they're buying it outright, right? So, of all of the different plots going on in Homefront, which there are several, this is the one I'm going to keep my eye on the most. Because, as I said, they made the sites different, seemingly exclusively for the purposes of the lore. Mechanically, it would have been just fine for there only be 2 kinds of mutanite, one mined in the abyssal artifacts and one mined in the metaliminal meteorite. But there's not. There's 6. So, wonder if that stuff has any connection to the ore the road drones used to drop. Yeah, well, yeah, the road drones always had like the interesting poo and stuff, drone poo, which has its own descriptions and are very interesting properties themselves. Not 100% sure about that, but yeah, I feel like this is going to go somewhere. It's worth noting that, like, in the CSM minutes, they talked about how the current arc is coming to an end soon, which this was a couple months before the Shadow War finished. So I assume that Viridian is effectively the end of the previous arc, which started with the appearance of the Sorrow guys and the Deathless, leading through to Othanoon, and the falling apart of the empires, leading to Uprising, to now. So the last arc was about a year long, and we're about to begin, or have begun, the next arc. So we see the Guri Malakan start to form. It's unsure whether or not the Guri Malakan are attached to the Deathless or not. We're still going to have to figure that out, but we do know that the Guri Malakan and or the Deathless has been stealing a whole bunch of tech, both from the Shadow Wars when it comes to Triglavian tech, and the Jovians, as alerted to by the Society of Conscious Thought during the last Capsuleer Day event. So all of this is coming together, and this is pretty relevant because yesterday Singularity was patched. Sorry, Tranquility was patched. Now, this was, first of all, this was done in, if I remember correctly, this was done kind of in the middle of the day, which was sort of weird. But more importantly, this stuff is not in the patch notes. So, no, I guess this was done in the beginning of the day, because the patch notes showed that these new videos were put into the game. So there's new in-game ads, which is great. Love to see it. But it's these here that interest me. 250 different data fragments. Now, these have no description, these blank ones. But these say, this fragmentary data has been recovered from a Gris's pirate communication storage buffer, and a device typically used to hold data relayed to and from a spaceship and remote locations via secure fluid router networks. Although partial and somewhat corrupted, with the right approach, it should be possible to decode the data stream and assemble something. I'm not showing the screen. It should be possible to decode the data stream and assemble something coherent from the intact data. It wouldn't hurt to try to give it a try and see if something clicks. With the word right and clicks being in bold. I think, what if we do this? So that brings us to this item. Oh god, it's so bright. Let's just look it up in game. Really? Oh, yeah, that's okay. Oh my god. Edencom. Now my search history is going to have every wrong thing of Edencom. Does this have it? Wait, it's not there. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's be fancy for a second. Scroll, scroll, scroll. I know you can't see this part. I'm just pulling the type ID. Oh yeah, by the way, I know I'm Gallente and this is Caldari, so whatever. But this group is, from everything I've been able to see, awful. We have a couple of people already that we found in rookie chat. This group appears to be just like broadcasting Eden Dom. There you go. These guys have been basically spam inviting people from newbie friendly in newbie systems without explaining to them ahead of time that they're in faction warfare. On top of that, it's a Caldari corporation that refers to a strong belief in democracy, so they kind of have no idea what they're talking about as far as I'm concerned. But the worst part about it is, look at this. An ISK tax rate of 11% and an LP tax rate of 20%. An LP tax rate of 20% basically means that anybody who does join this group and then does get into faction warfare, a full 1/5 of all of their LP is going to these people who are basically providing them, as far as I know, basically nothing in terms of support. So, especially if you're a CalMill guy, or regardless, if you see people in this corp, check in on them, make sure that they're okay. If you find any information about this group continuing to be suspicious, please bring it to me. I'm kind of collecting it together, and I'm going to hand it over to the GMs. But I'm very concerned about this group and what they might be doing to new bros. Hey, Ash, could give some thoughts on Brezia companion service consultation? Got some... What? Oh, thanks, Lorelite. Either way. So, corrupted data fragment. As you can see here, it says this is the same thing. Although partial and somewhat corrupted, with the right approach, it should be able to be possible to decode the data stream and assemble something coherent from the intact data. It wouldn't hurt to give it a try and see if something clicks. So this is what allowed people to collect these things by either blowing up the Caldari rats in Othanoon during that time, or hitting the relays that were in the system, and those pieces became the videos that allow us to see inside of the Othanoon facility, and then on the Othanoon in the Othanoon planet, which may actually be the arcology that got blown up, now that I think about it. My point is that this is the new way for CCP to be putting in hints or like new videos into the game. Because the thing about this is that they don't need to put this video into the game at all. It's just when you right click on it, it has a thing which sends you to a URL. We can't necessarily, I don't know how to read that information of like what happens when you right click and look at it. And therefore it just sends you to the URL, which is their video hosting website, that you can't necessarily find a video unless you already know the address for it. So all of this is to say is that there is 250 new data fragments with let's see, 88 to 30, 26 Garistas. 1, 3. And 24 Angel. And so I don't know how to get these Angel and Garistas data fragments. I just know these two things. One, they are well, no. A full-blown movie. No, it's not a full-blown movie because here, let me see. Shh. Pretty sure they did it too. I know you did it as well, ASMR. But so this image, actually, now that I think about it, it's probably true that your version of it will be easier to get this information, or you should demonstrate this. So hold on, see if it doesn't. Right. So if you look here, at this part here where it's kind of like all messed up, that's because this image, this video, is actually cut into 9 pieces, right? I think it's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 different data fragments got put together to make this one video. So it's not a full-blown movie, it's just pieces of a video, each piece. So, hold on. I don't. This is the problem with looking up ASMR news, is that it's not actually the name of the thing, and so it's hard for me to find your videos sometimes. Really work on that. Yeah, I'm never going to remember that. Use some tags. Even if I put that in. I don't know what you did to piss off the algorithms, but it's actually difficult to get it to acknowledge your existence. YouTube history ruined. Yeah, exactly. So here's a better version, or this depicts it better, because you'll see that there's holes in it at first. See? You see these blocks that are missing? Those blocks are videos that hadn't been recovered yet. So this one was actually 12 different videos put together. Yeah, but when I search for your exact name, I should get you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, either way. So the point is that the Angel Cartel and the Garistas are the two groups that have been getting all of this precursor information from both the Triglavians and the Jovians, and are potentially connected to the Death List, but are certainly connected to the Guri Malakan. It's also worth noting that the Mimitar Caldari pirate line is the one pirate line that doesn't exist, which is why we've been suspecting since last year that all of this is leading towards the new pirate faction. Now, whether or not that's going to be formally Deathless or part of the Guri Malakan is unknown at this point, but this is another piece to that puzzle. It is worth keeping an eye out for whatever data fragments or buffers or whatever is out there because again, this is on Tranquility right now. This could be accessible in game right now, and we don't even know it. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any reason. I've had no reports of it, and there are people looking for it. But basically, sooner rather than later, these things are going to start showing up because they're in Tranquility right now. They could drop right now. They could already be dropping. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all of the main things I had to talk about outside of my main topic for the day. Right now, yes. Oh shoot. I didn't show it. See? They're here on Tranquility right now. Okay. I am going to do an ad break and transition to the main topic. Close all these. I think I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. So let me put on a video real quick. I'll find something. Normally I put, oh, we'll just do we can do the Viridian expansion loop. That'll give me enough. I'll be right back.
Legacy. It is more than just...
It occurs to me that I cannot be sure that this music is not copyright, so I guess get the latest pulse.
Welcome back to The Pulse from the heart of G244, your source of news from EVE Online. The new EVE Online Viridian expansion is now live. As one of the two major expansions in 2023, Viridian introduces new tools for capsuleers to manage their corporations and set goals, personalize upwell structures, engage in unique combat strategies with new Lancer Dreadnoughts, and more. A major step forward in enhancing the corporation experience for both leaders and members is the introduction of corporation projects. This is a tool that enables leaders of corporations to create new projects that become visible to every member, allowing large and small corps to be managed more easily. Corporation projects enable player corps to set goals for their members to contribute to, as well as the means to monitor member progress against those goals without having to leave the game. Project types will include dealing damage to other capsuleers, mining, delivering an item, killing NPCs, and more. Corporation projects created by a player's organization will be displayed to them via the new Air Opportunities interface. Here, players can find activities relevant to their day-to-day gameplay as it will present and track content that they are participating in. Air Opportunities reduces the need for new players to check in various locations for things to do today. The Air Opportunities portal is also populated with brand new activities called Homefront Operations. These sites bring new and experienced capsuleers together to do new activities, helping to establish social connections and introduce fleet gameplay. Homefront operations offer a perfect opportunity for novice pilots to practice their combat, logistics, and hacking skills in a PvE environment while cooperating with others and getting good rewards. Homefront operations currently consist of 6 types of adventure, optimized for about 4 to 5 players and take about 15 minutes to complete per site. Also making their debut in New Eden as part of Viridian are the Lancer Dreadnoughts. These Tech 2 dreads will play a unique role in the capital ship landscape, with their specialized disruptive lance weapons capable of temporarily preventing a target from warping, tethering, or using their jump drive, while also causing a 50% reduction in remote repair received. The Amar Bane uses missiles as its primary weapon system, and the Kaldari Karura uses hybrid turrets, uncommon for capital ships from those respective empires. Player corporations can now personalize their upwell structures to better express their corp identity in the universe. A new in-game tool, the Super Kerr-induced nanocoating resequencer, or Skinner, allows corporations to carry out this customization with over 90 nanocoatings to choose from. To use Skinner, each corporation will have to assign a new brand manager role to hold the keys to the visual identity of their corporation. The Viridian expansion has delivered a host of visual updates. As part of that package, improved volumetric clouds bring further immersion and beauty into the gameplay space. There are multiple cloud variations that can currently be found and enjoyed in Homefront operations sites. Further to that, 68 Empire frigates have had their visual effects improved, including the addition of lights and effects that change depending on the state of the ship. The appearance of some hulls will change completely when they go into warp, with some changing colour significantly. Many of the effects are tied to ship speed, with effects getting stronger as speed increases. The formidable Marauders are also getting a visual update. The ships now look more aggressive and powerful when their Bastion module is engaged, making it clearer to others in space when it is activated. In addition, missile impact visuals have been enhanced so that each missile explosion archetype is distinct, making it clear by sight what type of damage the missile is applying to its target. Depending on angle of attack at impact, the explosions are now visually directional, adding realism as well as breathtaking effects. Corporations are now able to receive income from loyalty points, further enhancing the experience of managing and being in a corp.
Amazing.
The rate set by the corp for the percentage of ISK it receives from members' earnings will now also be applicable to all activities generating LP. This will be another source of revenue for corporations, as the LP can be exchanged for items in LP stores, and those items can then be traded for ISK. Additionally, LP trading between corporations will be enabled, and this will also act as part of the long-term plan of facilitating more of a free and streamlined economy. Changes have been made to brokers' fees and industry job fees that will create a more equitable environment for industrialists. These changes give more ISK to facility owners and give them more agency to leverage their citadel as an income source as a means to stay competitive. Similar changes to industry job installation fees give facility owners the ability to earn more income from their structures, especially those located in low-indexed systems. Speaking of facility owners, a new restriction has been added preventing the placement of new extra-large upwell structures, such as the Keepstar and the Sotio, in HiSec. XL structures currently in space will not be affected, but if they perish, they cannot be replaced.
Will not be affected.
Viridian also sees a number of ships receive a balance pass. Marauders, specifically the Kronos, Varga, and
I believe that there was a temporary tax change, but that has been, the temporary is finished. So I think that this new restructuring of how taxes and fees work is the new system. How much ever marks per month is a skin ever anyway? Don't.
and Paladin will see some
Oh, so the current tax structure is the temporary one? Okay, well then make hay while the sun shines.
changes to slot layout, HP and bonuses depending on the ship. Meanwhile, the Maelstrom and Rock have received some love in this release, and large railguns
Hayden, man, thank you so much, man. That's incredible. The good old red one, and that's how I can tell it's real, because it's red. I don't have to do any math or equations or anything like that to sort it out. Oh my god, thank you so much. I'm not going to go over the whole thing again.
Hey, thanks for all that
but
you do. You
on
have
behalf
helped me
of
and my friends understand and enjoy Eve more than ever before. Again, thanks.
I appreciate the money, the donation. My son appreciates it. My guinea pigs appreciate it. My cat appreciates it. But also, like, sincerely, I appreciate hearing that what I'm doing is useful. You know, I've always been the concern of my work about Eve has always been to bring light to the things that the general population aren't talking about or are wrong about, right? Like back when faction warfare was really, really good, but nobody liked it, but like the null blocks poo-pooed it. I was one of the few people that were out there talking about faction warfare back in like the Crossing Zebras days. And you know, nowadays, like the whole goal here is to increase literacy in EVE Online. So the fact that, you know, if the number of people that are using the buddy code is any indication, and if the number of people that say things like that is any indication, I feel like we're doing a lot of good here. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the funding. It definitely helps. I also appreciate it if you like the stream and share it. And there's my phone. That's not.
You have been promoted.
All right, and that is a call to let me know that my son is on his way back. So we are running low on time. Let's see if I can get this done before that happens. Yeah, the costs of skin structures. Oh, hey, McGee is a supporter now. 07, thank you for that. Enjoy those emotes. Make sure you tie your YouTube and your Discord together so you get the roles on my Discord. Anywho, I do want to cover this. Hopefully we can cover this pretty quickly. We'll see. Probably not. But we'll get as much of it going as possible. But I've been promising Malak doing this for a while. So, let's do it. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtrathi, the voice of New Eden, and today we answer the question, can you still build things in EVE Online? Welcome to the video. We are going to be covering some basic industry stuff. I've been meaning to do this since the industry change happened, but, you know, due to faction warfare being relevant and all that sort of stuff, it's become increasingly important. So we are going to jump directly into this. There is this post here that says, can you still do industry? This was posted today saying, can you still do it as a newish character? Can you, you know, I used to build stuff from scratch. Can you do it from scratch? So what we are here to do today to talk about is not only how you can do that, but how this is one of the best ways you can utilize your LP as a faction warfare pilot. So here's the thing. In faction warfare, you end up getting a lot of LP, like a lot of LP, all of the LP, too much LP. Any dedicated faction warfare pilot will soon find themselves with more LP than they could possibly liquidate and sell. And the question of like what you can possibly do to make that money, or to turn LP into money, is like it's the question of the ages, right? Because there's so many people gaining faction warfare stuff that, like, the stuff that is worth a lot don't sell very fast, and things are very volatile. So here is one of the things I like to think of it this way. If you are your client, then you are producing at maximum efficiency, right? Because you can buy on buy orders, you can sell on sell orders, all that kind of stuff. But if you buy it, if you're using it yourself, then you've already found a buyer, right? So what I want to do is focus on how to use your LP to keep yourself stocked in equipment to fight. Because Navy equipment is some of the best equipment that you can have in faction warfare. And the good news is it's actually pretty easy to build, especially if you're in the Convocation of Empyreans, because we have everything it takes in order to go from beginning to end. So let's look into that. First things first, we need a Catalyst Navy issue. We want to build this because a Catalyst Navy issue is just a better catalyst. It does a ton of damage, you know, whatever. And depending on your militia, this could be a Cormorant Navy or a Coercer Navy. They're basically identical. You go to the LP store and you buy the blueprint or just some LP and a little bit of ISK. And then we can look at what it takes. Gosh darn it. Yeah, there it is, the blueprint. So we can see that a Catalyst Navy issue takes in 3 million ISK, and the Catalyst Navy issue itself is worth almost 20 million ISK. So that means that you're basically, I understand that there may be more efficient ways of getting ISK per LP or whatever, but this is a pretty decent way. It's up there anyways. But more importantly, this allows you to fly Catalyst Navy issues for the cost of a Catalyst. It allows you to fly Vexor Navy issues for the cost of a Vexor, right? That's where we're getting into this, okay? Now, the difference here is that a Catalyst... Hold on. The Catalyst doesn't take quite as much minerals. It's only it's twice as much as a Catalyst, but you get what I'm saying. At least it's 17 million ISK cheaper. So you have less materials for the Catalyst, but the biggest one here is that you can see these life support backup units and auto integrity preservation seals. So we'll talk about the minerals in a second, but first of all, I want to talk about these two, okay? Because I have a cool little chart. I made a cheat sheet because that's what I do. Here is the cheat sheet for life support backup units and auto integrity preservation seals, as well as capital core and core temperature regulators. So here is all of the doodads that are required to make every subcapital faction, Navy faction ship, okay? As well as other things. So it all begins with these 4 materials: silicates, hydrocarbons, atmospheric gases, and evaporate deposits. And that actually begins, if we go back to the game, we can see that manufacturing, raw materials, moon ores, ubiquitous. So we have vitamins, cosite, sylvite, and zeolite. Okay? Each of these are for one of those things, right? Atmospheric gases, evaporate deposits, silicates, hydrocarbons. These 4 ore are the ore that are found in varying quantities in every high sec and wormhole moon. This is called the R4 reactables. Okay, so all you need is to mine in high sec, and if you mine a variety of moons, like we have a moon that's only zeolites, for example. So not every moon will have every one of them, but by mining in high sec, you can collect all 4 of these resources. No, it's not worth reprocessing Navy ships because you don't get back the doodads that you put in. These extra doodads do not get returned to you when you reprocess. Okay. So as you can see, silicates, hydrocarbons, atmospheric, and evaporate deposits get used in various different combinations in order to build thermosettling polymer, carbon fiber, oxyorganic solvent, carbon polymers, and sulfuric acid. The bar here is which kind of fuel it takes, because these are reactions. Reactions, unlike blueprints, do not require research, but do require, often require fuel. So if we can just look up one of these, we can see that carbon fiber comes from hydrocarbons, evaporate deposits, and 5 hydrogen fuel blocks. Okay, so when you look at this chart, this is each one of these things requires 5 of that kind of fuel block, right? So Gallente, Minmatar, Gallente, Amar, Caldari, in order to build this stuff. Now, then these 5 substances get turned into reinforced carbon fiber and pressurized oxidizers. Now, reinforced carbon fiber is the big one, okay? So it takes 200 carbon fiber, 1 oxyorganic solvent, and 200 thermosettling polymers, which you can see, like 1 reaction of carbon fiber, 1 reaction of thermosettling polymers, but a reaction of oxyorganic solvent makes 10 when it only requires 1. So you don't need to do these quite as often, but you need a lot of the thermosetting polymer and carbon fiber, okay? Which, by the way, does include all 4 materials. So you do need all 4 materials quite a bit. But it also means that you only need Gallente and Minmatar fuel to make the reinforced carbon fibers, okay? The pressurized oxidizers, however, require the carbon polymers and sulfuric acid. So there's your Amar and Caldari fuel blocks. Now, those reinforced carbon fibers get used in auto integrity preservation seals. This is the stuff that just recently got changed. So rather than needing the P1, it now needs the P2 that's above it. So we need 4 nanites and 4 super tensile plastics with 10 reinforced carbon fibers. Perfect. Now, these are construction. These are manufacturing, but with these low numbers, even a researched BPO isn't going to give you that much of a difference unless you're building them at scale, okay? Then they can. Likewise, the life support backup unit requires test cultures and viral agents and reinforced carbon fibers. And then these 2 things go in every faction ship available. And likewise, core temperature regulators, this is what's required for battleships, that takes chiral structures and water. Didn't those get updated too? Did I not update these? I think that got changed too. We'll see. But it also takes reinforced carbon fibers, and that's when the pressurized oxidizers come into play, okay? So when you need to build battleships or above, you need those pressurized oxidizers. Below battleship, you only need reinforced carbon fibers. Now, 50 core temperature regulators, so 50 battleships worth of core temperature regulators, plus self-harmonizing power cores and integrity response drones, that's how you make capital core temperature regulators. Those are required for every capital ship. So there you go. That is basically demystifying the reactable portion of things. Let's jump back into our game. And now that we see that, okay, we can build these life support backup units and these auto integrity preservation seals pretty easily. That's great. Now the materials. So we've got tritanium, pyrite, and mexilon. Tritanium can be found in large quantities in HiSec, especially if you're a HiSec miner. Dense compressed Veldspar is incredibly useful for moving tritanium around. It's also good for selling. So if you can compress some dense Veldspar and bring it to market, that's probably one of the better things that you can sell as a miner in HiSec. The pyrite and mexilon, you're going to get in oodles of gobs of from the mining if you do it, right? Like if I go here and I see hydrocarbons, does this actually say it? No. So as you can see here, all of these things, you're going to be getting a bunch of pyrite and mexilon. right? About half of the value of your rocks are pyrite and maxilon, so that's taken care of. So that leaves you with megasite, zydrine, noxium, and isogen. Isogen and noxium are low-sec ore. So you can find those in low-sec, in Pochfin, which can be quite dangerous. And then megasite and zydrine are from null-sec. So you're going to find those in null-sec areas, plus spodumene in low-sec potentially. And so these 4 materials are going to be a little bit harder to come by as a person that's not willing to venture into dangerous places to do it. However, that is where border ore comes into play. So CCP has recently created border ores. Any system, even high-sec systems, that border a change in like a high-sec to low-sec or high-sec to null-sec or low-sec to null-sec, those border systems can spawn border ore asteroid fields, which in contiguous high-sec are snapped up very, very quickly. But high-sec islands in particular are really good for finding this stuff, by the way. So, but we can see here we have Vulcinium, which comes with pure megasite. We have Eiferium, which is pure zydrine. We have Mordunium, which is pyrite, whatever. We have Yttrium, which is pure isogen. I feel like there's one more, but it also has dark ochre in there as well, which has Mexilon and isogen. I think there's at least one other thing that's in there. Maybe there's some gneiss in there too. But the point is that if you mine border ore, you can get basically every material that you need. And the good news is that this is actually like the rare materials are needed in pretty small amounts. Yttrium now there's 900% more Yttrium in the sites, if I remember correctly. You're better off just mining the extra high-sec ore and selling it for the low null ore. I mean, I don't disagree with you, Jeff, but the idea is that if you're trying to make this from scratch, so you should market, you can market to get these 4, but I'm just showing you that even somebody who stays in high-sec could, in theory, gain these resources for themselves if they wanted to, if you're really, really dedicated. But the point is that once you get all these minerals, which it isn't very much, it's 1.4 million-ish worth of minerals total, and these doodads, which again, besides the fuel blocks, these doodads basically require PI. So the fuel blocks require fuel, which is ice, which can be mined even in high-sec, and PI, which can be done all over the place. You build the life support backup units and auto integrity preservation seals, then that goes together to make yourself a Catalyst Navy issue. And again, the real value of this... Hey, thanks, Thrans. The real value of this whole thing is that you can take your own LP, you can go out there, run some plexes, come home, buy a BPC, build it. You know, like when I get a Catalyst Navy issue killed at this point, I go, ha ha ha, and I go and build 12 more, right? And since I keep myself stocked in these Navy ships, I mean, I don't fly Myrmidons. I fly Myrmidon Navy issues. I don't fly Vexors. I fly Vexor Navy issues. So I get to be like an elite pilot with my equipment, but I spend, as far as ISK goes, a relatively low amount. So I can make that money through PI, through doing the hacking sites or other ISK generators to make Abyss, for example. And I can get the absolute most out of the ISK I do earn by turning my LP into these ships. And then when you have an excess of these ships, you can just sell them off. They do sell on the market pretty well, depending on what race you are. So you keep yourself stocked up in good ships, and you also get yourself some material to sell into the world. And all you have to do is mine some moons and some rocks and do some faction warfare, slam it all together, and easy peasy. You should be able to take care of this yourself. If you're in Convocation of Empyreans, obviously we've got we've got sellback programs and buyback programs to help you at any given step of the way along these lines. You know, you can mine our moons, have our transport, bring it to the manufacturing facilities. We try to keep even the rarer materials on hand for people to buy if they need it. And just crank out your own ships, man. I want to see Aderon guys out there in Catalyst Navy issues and Vexor Navy issues and Executor Navy issues more than anything else. So, Malak, unless I missed anything, I think that just about covers how to produce Navy ships. Yes, but this is also an interesting way for him to explore various game mechanics that many people might not know about. Also, like, finding out what is better is a very personal thing, right? To Jeff, limiting the amount of time you have to do and the difficulty in figuring out what to do might be a bigger priority, in which case mining what you know, selling it, and getting the stuff you need may make total sense. But if your priority is to learn about as many different things as possible, like, these things can function as challenges. Okay, well, where do I get isogen? Okay, well, I'm not how do I mine in low sec? You know, that kind of stuff. So I think that the point here is that you get out of Eve what you put into it, right? So yeah, you could just buy this stuff on the market, or you could use this as an opportunity to learn more about how Eve works, which is why I think that industry and market is actually one of the best ways for people to actually learn and understand the Eve Online, because the more you pay attention to the market is driven by player actions. So you can keep track of, like, what is actually used, what are the metas, how do these things go, by seeing what does and doesn't get sold, how much things get sold, and by starting to understand the various pressures that change the prices of things. Yeah, and I didn't know anything about the border mining thing. Exactly. I wanted to bring that up exactly for that reason, which is that, you know, a lot of times my videos are just an excuse to bring up as many different things about EVE Online as I can. AO ores are one of the most valuable ores in the game right now. That's correct. That is actually a good point. AO blue stars in nullsec regions in particular are the ones that have the most of this ore, which is why, by the way, it has the Mexilon, I think it was, ore, because this doesn't only help give you low sec minerals for high sec and low sec, low sec and null sec minerals for high sec and low sec, but also gives you high sec minerals for null sec, which is often cut off from high sec minerals sometimes. So that's one of the ways, and the 900% increase in Yttrium is a perfect example of the fact that they can actually adjust how much isogen is in the system without changing anything about anything else. They don't have to change any belts, they don't have to change any rocks, they just have to make it so that more Yttrium spawn in these sites. And look, there's more isogen out there. But it still requires people, like, it's not consistent. You still have to go out there and hunt for it, or be lucky to find it and opportunistic, which honestly, being opportunistic, hunting for these things is not as productive as just being opportunistic when it shows up, right? There is something to be said about being in EVE Online, logging in, and just doing the thing that is the thing for the day, not even knowing what it is ahead of time. You know, this is very true in wormhole space. It can be true in faction warfare, and it's how I play my game, honestly. So, you know, diversification and all that stuff. But on that note, I think I need to wrap things up, so that way, because my son is coming home. So I do want to say thank you to everybody, and if there's any last minute questions, comments, and concerns, can you explain how to find places to build things? Yeah. So if you go to Utilities Structure Browser, you can see that there are different structure types. You can look for stations, citadels, engineering complexes, navigation structures, refineries, blah, blah, blah. So if you don't want a citadel, then you would just, or if you don't want a player structure, then you would just go like this, and it's only NPC structures now, right? And then you can put in a service filter for, let's say, industry. Now every structure with industry will show up here, right? Now also you can go and add in engineering complexes, for example, and we see that there's more there. And does this even... No. If you want to see the index of the structure, however, you need to open up your industry panel, go to facilities. I'm getting there, Sneak. I'm showing the structure browser because there's other things. If you want to find a clone bay, it's really good for that. It also, there is one other thing that's true about this that makes it worse, which is if you notice here, the only service is industry, right? But the problem is that industry is actually divided into 3 different things: reactions, invention, and manufacturing, right? So, or is reaction something different on here? I don't know. Apparently reactions aren't even there. Hey, LM1 gifting 10 subs. Thank you so much, LM1. GM Trails, Toxic Fanta, Steve Stanchfield, Aaron, SpoonS, Demoji, Sheesh. Good thing that Sheesh got it. He should have had it a long time ago. Pekamix, Aikawarazu Chan, and ICA Bronco. On behalf of all of them, thank you, LM1. That is awesome of you. Any rate, my point is that it is better to use the industry window because it gives you more information. So we can see here that that this structure has different tax rates based on the system cost index and the different roll bonuses and all that sort of stuff. So you can actually look up exactly which structures can do what. So, for instance, the HQ can do everything but reactions. So can Divoolej, but this Tatara can do reactions. Okay, and some structures will only do manufacturing, won't do research and development also. So we can go like within 5 jumps. Like, for instance, this station here only does manufacturing. It has no research. But if we look it up here, we look it up here, we can see it just says it's industry, right? There's no difference between these, even though here you can see that there's definitely a difference between what facilities they do allow. So the industry window is actually the best way to look for what facilities you want to do to manufacture. Player Salt says dodged, yeah. Yeah. I think that battle covers it, DM. Alright, well, in that case, I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even to context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, watching the video. If you're still here, make sure to like the video and leave a comment. If you haven't already, let's see. What is your favorite Navy ship? Hey! Thank you very much, Sheesh. But what is your favorite Navy ship in the game? I recently just played around with the Griffin Navy issue, and I kind of like it in a weird, naughty way. But let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I want to give a special thank you to all of my top supporters, which may not include everybody, but Abyssus, Aikawarazu Chan, Arkas Ilring, Arydanika the Queen, Belligerent Neckbeard, Black Rose Noble, Dajat Lemmont, Drake, Golden Age Stories, Jake Kuhn, Lumi, Malak Starfire, Midnight Space... Oh, Malak Starfire is not immortal. Midnight Space Monkey...
Is awesome.
Updated. Midnight Space Monkey, Not Just Fun, Seeds of Plenty, Serenolin with No Eyes, Syliana Vel'ash, Tgen Tgen, Nephilim, Grendel, Yantey Lepouf, Zaul Nex, as well as my Immortal tier patrons or supporters, 745 MPSI, Ebo Leet, May, Malak Starfire, Merc Utan, Nihilim, LM1, and Rid. Thank you guys so much. If you want to join that prestigious list, you can go ahead and become a member on the YouTubes or a supporter on Patreon, and you get access to the Discord channels and flares and cool stuff on the YouTube channel, and of course the knowledge that you are what makes this channel possible. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for all of you who managed to sit through all of this. One more time, like the stream before you go. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space.
Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city